Other people call me creepy. But, well, you be the judge. Good morning, mushrooms, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers, sisters, mothers, misters, and to all my cousins out there around the world. It's time to plug in and get the news train chugging. Big news in the news here. We've got Kamala Harris. Yeah, Kamala Harris. She is in the news. Presidential candidate Joe Biden has selected his running mate, Kamala Harris. She has Indian roots, much like a plant. If you've got this pretty little flower here, yeah, and there's the blossom up on the top, and then below the ground you've got the roots. You've got the roots, and that is where the plant comes from. Just like she has Indian roots, and that's where her family has come from. And so, why does that matter? I don't know. Let's find out more and take a little look at the caption. From the moment that her mother arrived alone in a foreign country, Harris's... And look at that. See, the apostrophe is outside that because you don't want to say Harris. That's just ridiculous. Harris heritage shaped her views. I don't want to say penniless. I don't know the circumstances, but came alone as an immigrant to this country. And now look at that. Her daughter living the American dream, a vice presidential candidate. And even if they do not win the election, incredibly successful. And I'm further demonstrating that despite everything working against you, the American dream is still alive. Your heritage is a set of, it could be buildings, beliefs, practices, traditions, etc. that come from the past. It's passed down from generation to generation and helps you identify who you are. Unlike a blanket or a chair or a house, it's the beliefs and the mentality. And so, those have apparently shaped her views and the way that she approaches her job and the world. Trump turns to stereotypes as he responds to the pick of Harris. Yeah, and so instantly he's like, I don't know what to say, and says something wildly inappropriate that is somehow related to racial or ethnic stereotypes. Of course, he feels a little bit threatened by that, doesn't know what to do, panic. What do I do? Let's go with racism, the default option, sadly. Let's move on here. And I don't want to say black versus white, but in contrast, we're talking about the visuals, right? And so, yeah, she's a woman of color. Mike Pence is the palest, most white bread with mayonnaise sort of individual that you could ever imagine. Let's move on. Bear. No, we're not talking about animals, obviously. We've got this verb, and it does lots of interesting things in English. In this case, though, the weight that Vice President Harris would bear. Now, if I ask you to guess what that means, because we've got weight right here, it probably means the weight that she needs to carry. And by weight, obviously, we're talking about responsibility. And so with bear, it means to carry and support, to deal with. As I said, there's many different meanings, but yes, she'll be carrying and dealing with a very large figurative weight as the vice president. With this bear, you often hear about the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, the right to bear arms. Not, as usual, bear arms, sleeveless shirts. However, Florida man might tell you otherwise because they love the bear arms while they bear arms. But it means to carry a weapon. Yeah, basically, that's it. Now, if you think about it, actually, though, if you say, I was born on a Thursday, bear, bore, born. That's actually the past participle, the third form of the verb from to bear. And it means I was born. I was carried by my mother. And so really, that's one of those things, people understand the phrase, but they don't understand really what it means. And so, I don't know, just interesting. Yes, please bear with me. I'm full of energy today. And so, if you ask somebody to bear with you, it means to have patience and tolerate you. And so, it's sort of like the idea. It's like, can you carry me? Can you tolerate me? Please bear with my deviations from our actual course of action, because I do get derailed often. To beat is to triumph over somebody, to be victorious over somebody. This is not one of those world records or world beating situations you want to be in. Moving on, as I mentioned, derailment. My explanations often I go off track, I get sidetracked, and I deviate from the actual schedule of A to B. This is an actual physical, true to life train derailment in Scotland. The train goes on the tracks. The tracks are made out of 2 metal rails, and then you've got the timber cross members beneath them, or the railroad ties, because they tie the tracks together. Here's some weird railroad vocabulary for you. But yes, if it derails, it means it's gone off the tracks. And I caught a glimpse of the picture of that, and it looks pretty tragic and pretty well, yes, pretty extremely serious. They're not lying here in the headlines. Let's move on to Thailand. The Red Bull heir. Yeah, the heir. He is the person who is inheriting the Red Bull fortune. Yeah, and so not the heritage, not about the cultures and traditions, but he is inheriting the company from, well, presumably his parents. And he crashed a car, and then a scandal angered Thailand because, you know, the rich, they think that they live outside the law. They think they live above the law. But we all know that they really don't, although they often get away with all sorts of different crimes. Much like a car crash that killed somebody. And so yes, a scandal actually is an event or an activity which is morally or legally wrong, and so it's against morals and are against the law. But remember, a scandal isn't a scandal until it becomes known publicly. And once it becomes public and then the people get angry about it, that's what makes it a scandal. So if you're able to fly under the radar and just kind of sweep things under the rug here and nobody ever finds out about it, then you'll never have a scandal because they just pay their lawyers to sweep them aside. It's not Victoria's Secret CEO. That's how I read it. Derp, derp, derp. Victoria's Secret CEO has agreed to a written deposition, and a deposition in this case is our official written testimony or accounting of the events, retelling events, providing evidence for the court, so that way the court can look at it and decide whether or not we want to go in this direction or that direction, etc. Let's move on. Dead bodies in France. A corpse was hidden for 30 years, and it has been found during the renovation of a mansion. Well, you know, we all have, you could say that we have a phrase that everybody has skeletons in their closets. Well, apparently rich French people have corpses in their walls. Sorry, couldn't help myself. But to have skeletons in your closet means that everybody has secrets, right? Because nobody wants other people to know about the dead body that they have in their closet. So yes, we all have skeletons in our closet, but some people literally have dead bodies in the walls of their house. Weird. They're pristine waters. Their waters are pure. They're untainted, untouched. They are immaculate. They are unspoiled by civilization and the touch of the human hand. Leaking oil into those pristine waters, damaging the ecosystem, blah, 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 blah. But to leak, yes, we've got a container, a ship, and the ship is supposed to contain it. However, occasionally, liquids or gases are able to escape the container which is intended to contain it. And that is a leak. Just like information and or images or videos or government secrets also can be leaked in the figurative fashion, as opposed to just a liquid or a gas out of a container. Moving on. But somebody's motherly instincts are kicking in. If something is kicking in, that means it's starting to work, starting to function, starting to take effect. Yeah, just like I had a massive pounding headache a few minutes ago, but then I took some medicine, and then I'm still waiting for it to kick in, to start working. Thinking about medicine then, yes, well, the medicine kicks in and it works well for a while, but then eventually it starts to wear off. The effects of something start to go away and they start to wear off. Yeah, kick in, wear off. There's the celebrity news. As you know, or you may know, Simon Cowell, the judge from the singing show, yeah, he broke his back, and so he was the judge of some lady once, but now she's filling in for him. Yeah, because, well, there's the panel of judges, and there's going to be an empty seat. And it's empty, so they need somebody to fill in for him, to fill the gap, right? And so some lady, is filling in for him, is substituting as a judge for him. We've got that very commonly. To fill in for somebody, to sit in for somebody, to stand in for somebody. Lots of different verbs with that, and it means to substitute, to do that instead of them. Yeah, cool. Let's move on to the toys of the rich and famous. Incredible sci-fi super yacht design resembles a spacecraft. Yes, the pictures I saw, it looks like the bridge from the Starship Enterprise, or like one of the scenes from Star Wars or something. It looks pretty fancy. I'm probably never going to have one of those or even be inside one. But to resemble means to look like. Yeah, that's really it. To look like something else. I don't overtly resemble either of my parents. Now, my behaviors and my mannerisms are very much like my father, and you could say that I take after my father, but I don't necessarily resemble either of my parents. Whereas, interestingly, my wife, she quite actually resembles her father in a good way. I'm not saying she looks like a dude, come on. But my wife resembles her father, whereas her sister resembles her mother much more distinctly. I could say my nephew very distinctly resembles his father. He's a spitting image of him. Ooh, there's some nice vocab for you. Let's move on. All right, shoreline or the coastline, that's where the water meets the land, yeah? We've got riverbanks, and then we've got the coast and the shore, and this shoreline erupts into brilliant crimson carpet. As you can see from the photo here, crimson means red, and it's a deep red, not a light red, a deep red. Crimson can be used to describe a rose, or I'm rubbing my arm because blood. Crimson carpet, just like we had last week. The Australian island was blanketed in the snow. Yeah, the coastline here is carpeted in crimson, and it's a brilliant crimson. It is bright red. It is completely red. Brilliant means really, really bright, and they are the underdogs. The underdogs are the people who are the team which is expected to lose. Maybe they didn't have as powerful or as successful of a season or as powerful of players or something along those lines in any sort of match or any sort of game, any sort of contest. We've got the person expected to win, which is the favorite, and then we have the people who are expected to lose. That is the underdog. And people tend to cheer and root for the underdog. I know I do, because I like the little guy. And the favorites, the ones who are expected to win, we don't call them the favorites because we love them so much, but the odds of them winning, the probability of them winning is in their favor. There we go. That's why they call them the favorites. Whoever you are, good luck making history. It would be a historic victory. All their attention is focused on the COVID, and so a lot of other things are falling by the side and not being addressed, not being dealt with, not being paid attention to. My brothers grew up in the shadow of Mr. Janes. Back then I wasn't called Mr. Janes, but still in my shadow, not just because I was taller, but because I had such a large personality. All right, whatever. If somebody is bigger and brighter and they command or demand more attention, they receive more attention, and then you're sort of neglected down over here, you're in the shadow of that person. Really? That's about it. This company is tackling. They're aggressively trying to deal with the situation, much like in American football. They try to tackle the guy and bring him crashing down to the ground. Just like they're doing that with the dark side of our colorful clothes. They're tackling the problem, tackling the issue. They're not just addressing it. They're not just confronting it. They're just grabbing onto it and tackling it. Cool, but the dark side, that's always the bad side. The negative side. Ooh, all right. We all know what that means from Star Wars. Whether or not you're a Star Wars fan, you know about the dark side of the Force. Sweatshops and the exploitation of humans and paying them nothing to work long hours in factories and child labor and all of these economic effects of the dyes and the bleaches seeping into the ecosystem, blah, blah, blah. Those are the dark sides of our colorful clothes. A widow is a woman whose husband has died. A widower is a man whose wife has died. Installed a wax statue of his late wife. And whenever we use late, it means that the person has passed away. Not his ex-wife. They have split up, broken up, or divorced. No, his late wife who has passed away in his dream home that she tragically never got to see because she passed away before the home was finished. Sad story, but also creepy story because he now has a wax statue of his late wife in his house. Ooh, that's weird. Other people call me creepy. But, well, you be the judge. Fox eyes. I don't know, some makeup news. Harmless, without harm. Harmful damages you. Smoking is harmful to your health, harmful for your well-being. If it's harmless, it doesn't do any damage, it doesn't do any harm. Is it a harmless makeup trend, or is it cultural appropriation? To appropriate something is to take something that belongs to somebody else and take it and make it your own. I don't know, it's getting all mixed up, and a lot of people get really bent out of shape about this. Some person I've never heard of before is bulking up to play He-Man. And this guy is bulking up. Bulk is mass. We're talking kilos, right? Lots of molecules. And to bulk up is to hit the gym and take a lot of protein and consume a lot of calories and add mass to your body. This has a positive connotation. It implies that you're adding muscle mass. Also with bulk though, I mean, yeah, if you're a smart consumer, go to Macro or Metro or some other wholesale distributor and buy things in bulk, because when you buy larger quantities you get lower prices per unit. They hitting the gym like 1,000 reps, doing the push-ups and the pull-ups, bulking up, man, looking huge. I'm cut, I'm ripped, boom. So that's that. That has been a lot of news, man. I'm at like 84 broadcasts now or something like that. Don't be shy, jump into the comments, ask some questions, complain, give me compliments, whatever you want to do. Participate, it's fun. For English Otherwise, that was breaking down the news. Most people know me as Mr. James, but if you made it this far, you can call me Cameron. Thank you everybody much for the likes and the subscribes and the follows. And so that's it. If I don't see you sooner, I'll see you at 8 p.m. tomorrow. Bye-bye. Have a beautiful night or morning, wherever you are. Who knows? Bye-bye. Stop the stream.